You are now listening to FNB Radio.
And welcome to FNB Radio. My name is Lindsay Collins, and I am your host. Guys, I've got to stop trying to do this podcast after I eat my what I like to call first dinner on Thursday night. I'm having a little scientific moment in the kitchen right now. I've been using sodium citrate in sort of a pursuit of this kind of this queso fundito. It's from a restaurant called Yellow Rose in New York. I've never eaten there, but I've seen this queso fundito on the internet and was like, I have to make this. But it requires sodium citrate, which is a stabilizer. It's basically the thing that gives you that Velveeta-like texture that is unrealistic and not occurring in nature. But you can make it liquid, sort of emulsified, spready, not even spready, like liquid dippy, like queso dip cheese. And I'm sure it's like in every melty cheese that we know that's on the market right now. But you can also just buy the sodium citrate. And so I got some from Amazon. And I've been trying to make this recipe because I have my dad's 70th birthday coming up and I want to make a big thing of queso fundito for the party. It's going to be a pool party. And I was like, that's one of those things that just gets, that you can just stand around the queso fundito and have a beer and have a little snack and like crush a taco and then get back in the pool. It's like one of those kind of vibes. So I've been really interested in this recipe and I tried it the first time and I was like, what do they know? I don't need sodium citrate. So I tried it without it and it just turned into like sort of a weird beer cheese soup. And then just in the center was this iceberg of solidified cheese. And it still tasted good. I'm not going to lie. I was like, the beer cheese soup it's kind of gross, but it's not that gross. I'll have a slurp. Like, it was kind of fire. But then I was like, fine, I'll just order it. So I ordered the sodium citrate and it comes in the mail from Amazon. And I'm like, this looks pretty good. This looks like, it looks like salt, basically. And you warm up the beer, you stir in, and I'm reading the recipe, 2 tablespoons of sodium citrate. It foams up, and then you start dumping in your shredded cheese and whisk it until it becomes homogeneous. And it was really easy, and it looked perfect. And I'm like, God, this is a magic product. And then we go to eat it, and I'm like, on the first taste, you're like, damn, this is delicious. And then all of a sudden, like this slow, I put too much Morton salt in my salt flavor starts coming through. And then it's like burning your mouth. And then it's like just a catastrophic nuclear bomb on your palate. Like I just couldn't even, it was just burning my tongue. And I was like, oh my God, this is so fucking salty. And I'm like, is this right? Is this recipe wrong? And this is one of my pet peeves. And this is something that I find, it's rare, but I do find it. Even on things like New York Times or Bon Appetit, they'll get, like, basically they'll take a recipe, what appears to be a recipe from like a restaurant or another chef or something that gets submitted. And oftentimes they're taking it from the huge batch that they make in the restaurant and then they're scaling it down to make a single serving or like a normal, like family-sized serving of whatever it is. So I don't know if something got lost in the shuffle or something got screwed up when they were doing the conversions to kind of scale it down. But it was like, there's no way this is how much sodium citrate they intended to be in the dish. Like 2 tablespoons is a lot. But I'm not going to lie, we still kind of ate it. Because once your taste buds get decimated, you can just, you just can't really taste anything anyway. So you just kind of keep going. Because the texture was fire. And it was really good on other things. Like it wasn't necessarily good on a salty chip, but it was pretty fire on like a taco. Like you could sort of drizzle it on there as if it were cheese salt. Like you were using it like to salt your food with. But it was not what I wanted. And I was trying to figure out if there are different, I don't know, concentrations. I was going to say intensity or I don't know, concentrations of sodium citrate. Is that a thing? Did I buy like a super salty one? Or is this recipe actually just fucked? And if that's the case, that's where I get upset because this will be the second time I've made this recipe. And There is another thing that seems kind of suspect. There's a quarter of a teaspoon of sugar. And so that right there sends a red flag off in my head, because I'm like, a quarter teaspoon. That's like you just like ran the sugar bag by your cake. Like you didn't, if you put a quarter teaspoon of sugar into anything, you might not even notice. Like that's just a really scant amount. It's less than a pinch. I would say like a pinch of sugar. Like if you pinched sugar, probably close to a teaspoon, maybe if you got fat fingers. But I don't know. I just was like, something about this recipe does not seem right. It seems more likely that it would be 2 teaspoons of sodium citrate and a quarter cup of sugar. But then again, I'm just like, I don't want to make this recipe for the third time. So if you've made this queso fundido from fundido, I'm saying that wrong, queso fundido, let me know, because I'm trying to dial it in, but I really don't want to eat 2 more blocks of cheese. That's like 3 times this week. So I got to kind of spread it out. But if you know anything about sodium citrate, please call us at Unsolved Kitchen Mysteries. Or email me at fnbradio@gmail.com. That's EFFINBRADIO@gmail.com to let me know if you know how to use sodium citrate, or if I've done something wrong, or if the recipe's just fucked and you've also made this and you're like, don't do that. My theory is that no one made this recipe because they did what I did, which is be like, that looks so good. Oh, I don't have any sodium citrate and there's nowhere to buy it. So then they just stop there, because people don't really make... Well, don't really. I mean, I guess maybe someone does, but very few people are like going to put in an Amazon order for a specific stabilizer and wait for it to get here. Like that's some restaurant shit. That's like shit that restaurant people do. That's like, you'd be hard pressed to find someone. They would just be like, I'll just skip it, or I'll add dairy and do the same. Because you can add milk and you can make like a roux and you can make a queso fundido that way. But this one was appealing because it had less like dairy. I mean, I know there's cheese in it, but there's less like cream and things to like kind of split since it's going to be outside. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but it was disappointing because we had our friend Nathan over and I was like, Nathan, you got to try this queso fundido. And then it was like, oh, when you like put something in front of someone and then you realize it's not good? It's sort of the worst possible thing I can imagine. It's just really embarrassing. But we all, we all fall down. That happens. Even the best of us. Even the people who think they know how to make something. Sometimes it doesn't work. But ironically, we still ate every last bite. Jeremy even saved the overly salty queso fundido, and then we put it on quesadillas today. We smeared it on a tortilla and then like added a bunch of other stuff. So it was like less of it. You don't want to take a big mouthful of it, like on a chip. But if you spread it out and use it like a seasoning, it is kind of good. In giant food news, I normally don't do stuff like this, but it pertains to someone that I love very much. Jason Stanhope is leaving Fig after 15 years. I may or may not know what he's doing next, but I can't say. I know, that's so fucking annoying. People hate when that happens, but I haven't actually gotten the full scoop yet. I intend to, but what I wanted to say was maybe we'll have him on and he can talk about what's going on next once it's able to be public. Right now, all that they've announced is that he is, in fact, departing from Fig after 15 amazing years of truly just being, I think, the best chef I've ever worked for in my entire career. And I say that all the time, and he never really believes me, but it's the truth. I've worked for a lot of incredible chefs. And by incredible, I mean like incredible on paper, but they're not like actually incredible people or leaders. And Jason's kind of all of them. Jason's not only like an unbelievable chef in his own right, like period, end of story, but he's also an incredible person and an incredible leader and a very, very dear friend. And I'm so excited for what's coming next for him. And I'm so excited to see what he does next, because he's just, the sky's the limit for that guy. And I can't wait to follow along. So I'm going to try to get him on the show. It's been a long time. He was on the show oh my God, probably 2016. Yeah, 2016. I think he was on the show. And then it's been a hot minute, so I need to get him back on. Jason, but if you're listening to this, congratulations, my dude. And come on the show. Let's talk about it. Let's tell everyone what you're up to. Put you on the spot right here on F&B Radio. But I am, big shoes to fill at Fig Restaurant. And I don't like to brag, but I was actually, now it means more even than it did to begin with, which was a lot to start with. But I just was in Fig, but I didn't actually eat in the restaurant. I went in there with my dear friend Robert Pratt just to say hello. And Jeremy and Paul Christina were with us, and we were just kind of hanging out. It was the weekend of skewers, and we went by to see him, and he was just kind of answering some emails and stuff in the office, and we ended up eating tomato tart tatans, which, if you know, is like an iconic Charlestonian dish, but also just maybe iconic like tomato dish anywhere in restaurants, period, because it's truly one of the most incredible things you can eat, but it's also just hyper seasonal and it's really special. And it means a lot to the people of Charleston, me most of all. And I hadn't had a tomato tart tatan yet this season, just because I hadn't gotten into Fig. It's kind of a place I save for very special occasions. I try not to overdo it. Plus I used to work there. So I'm like, I still feel like I work there and I shouldn't come in that much. But anyway, Jason fired off some tart tatans and we ate them sitting on a freezer in the chef's office / closet. And 10 out of 10, gotta say it's my favorite Fig experience I've ever had. It was just the four of us and Jason. And Jason just has a way of, and I know that if you've ever eaten there or tried his food or been in his presence, you know, he has a way of making you feel like you're the most important person in the world. And so, yeah, now knowing that he's leaving, I didn't know he was leaving then. But now knowing that that's not even a possibility anymore, it's a very, very special memory. And yeah, I'm just bragging basically about how I got to eat tomato tart tatans in the chef's office, and you didn't. So anyway, yeah, congrats to Jason and to me for getting to be in his life, because it's pretty sweet. But I'm so happy for him, and I hope we'll have him on the show soon. Get him in here. Get that star in here to tell us what's next. I know it's going to be something big. I can't fucking wait. I'm dying. I have my own guesses, but I'm going to hold them back because I feel like my guesses would be too accurate, and then I would accidentally, without even having confirmed that that's what he's doing, I would probably like blow the cover. But anyway, big news this week. I opened up my mailbox and there was a Charleston magazine inside, and it's Jeremy's issue. He was one of 10 artists that was selected to be a part of a show called Under the Radar that's going to be September 22nd at Redux. And it was picked by a panel of judges. And there's some amazing judges. Like the panel itself who judged the submissions was just like full of incredible artists like Fletcher Williams III, who's, I mean, I think we're all like I can't speak for everybody, but I'm a super fan of Fletcher and his work. He's got a show that's opening in the African American Museum. He's amazing. And yeah, he was one of the judges. Harona was one of the judges. She's an amazing artist here in town. Terry Fox was one of the judges. Darcy Shanklin. Like, you look at the people who are judging the submissions, and then it even means more than it does to begin with. And I'm just so proud of him. I'm so proud of Jeremy for just working hard and getting so much of that. Like, I think in a world where PR agents are a thing, right? And you can get yourself in publications if you pay a PR person, and you get these things that happen that come with like putting someone on staff to do that. And that's the way the world works. It's not like disrespectful to the people. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing to do, but when you don't have that, and when you're not paying someone for PR and you just get an opportunity like that, it means even more. I think I used to just think that everybody that was in a magazine or that was featured in an article or something, I thought they just like was like, well, they must be the ones that deserve it. And then you find out later that it's like most of the time somebody pitched that and then, that's how they got in the magazine. It's never by accident, or it's not necessarily by merit alone. Not saying they don't have the merit, but it's just not like if you're good enough, people will put you in a magazine. That's just not how it works. But in this case, it is how it works because the show itself was open for submissions. So Jeremy did submit to the show, but then you're picked and you get to have a 2-page spread in this beautiful magazine. And it's got a big kind of full page of his artwork and then a short interview with him. And it's just always impressive. If you loved Jeremy's episode on F&B Radio, which so many of you have told me that that's one of your favorite episodes, and it's one of mine too, go read his article because he always has some really insightful, just eloquent quotes. Jeremy's a quieter person than me. He doesn't talk weakly into a microphone for no reason, but when he does say things, they're always super poignant and unusual and well thought out and smart. And so his article was great, or the interview rather. And so were the other artists. There's 9 other artists and they all got a 2-page spread. So it's a really, really special issue, especially if you're interested in arts in this area. So grab a copy. It's the September edition. It's on stands. I think now, I tried to get it in Whole Foods and they hadn't gotten the new ones in yet. So maybe give it a couple days, but it's the September issue of Charleston Magazine. And it's in there. You can see it. Clip it out and put it on your wall like a teen beat, like Jonathan Taylor Thomas. That's what I did. I cut it out and put hearts around it, and kissed it. But no, I really am so proud because I said this on social media, but it is just a grueling lifestyle. Being an artist is like very rarely getting any recognition, and most of the time just kind of toiling away, like making work, like hoping you get to see another day of being an artist, because there's this pull to like participate in society in other ways that often isn't compensated the same, even though the work is the same. Maybe more difficult. Jeremy wakes up at 5 a.m. so he can paint before the boys get up, and then be a dad, and then be in a super codependent relationship with me where I'm like always bothering him, trying to get him to hang out with me, even though he should be working. But it's amazing to see him get a little bit of shine alongside so many other amazing artists like Caroline Herring. She's in there. There was some artists that I had never even heard of yet on the scene in Charleston. So that's just a huge thank you to Charleston Magazine for doing that and for focusing on artists and making that a priority, because I think it's, I don't know, it's easy to get caught up in like the restaurant scene or the hottest bar or beaches or whatever Charleston, the travel and leisure sort of scene is all about. But it's cool that they're highlighting artists. It's really important. And it was great to see him in there in print. And our friends Sean Money and Elizabeth took the photo. So there's a great photo of him by them, which always feels fun and collaborative. But yeah, there's so many fun things. That show's happening September 22nd. And then October 14th, he has a show at Head High, which is a solo show. And it's a biggie. It's going to be a big deal. And it's right after his birthday. So we're going to make a big party out of it. I cannot wait. Mark your calendars, October 14th at Head High, which is just one of the most beautiful spaces to show work in the whole city. And it's going to be a blast. He's showing a bunch of new paintings that I think are going to blow you all away. I'm like already blown away by them. They're kind of starting to populate the walls of my house, and it's pretty dreamy. So definitely stay tuned for that. I hope to see you on September 22nd at Redux. That's for the Under the Radar show, which is a group show. So you can come and see all of the artists' work. And then his solo show is October 14th. Oh my God. And then what else? I think that's it. It's been a doozy. This week, my God, I'm just going to be in full recovery mode all weekend. I'm going to crawl into my bed and just try to relax. I hope you do the same. Oh, get tickets. I don't know if there's still tickets, But get tickets to Rip City at the movies. It's at Terrace Theater, August 25th. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to be there. I cannot wait. I'm not in this show, sadly, but I'm going to be there cheering everybody on. And there's going to be some amazing short comedy films. And you should go. Who doesn't want to go to the Terrace Theater and then go to Bar George? That's like my dream, ideal night out. I joke all the time, but I'm like, Riverland Terrace is like my King Street. Like I would never go out downtown, but my idea of a night out is going to James Island and going to the Terrace and then going to Bar George. It's just sort of the happiest couple of hours you can spend. And I think there's still tickets available. There's not many though, so grab them. Go to numberheadcomedy.com and get your tickets. And I'll see you there. And let me know if you know about sodium citrate. And let me know if you pick up a copy of Jeremy in the magazine. And let me know if you cut it out and make a little shrine to it like I did. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for the feedback on last week's episode. I'm glad that resonated because it's just the truth, man. It's how it feels. And I always love when that kind of stuff like lands with you guys because it just makes me feel even more connected to you and like we get it. It's always really fun. If you haven't listened to that episode, it's called No Friend Zone, and it's the one before this. But I'll see you next week. Love you so much. Bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye.
La famille, les amis, le bureau.